Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour on My Media Prime. This evening, we are going to be asking the question whether Anglophones actually contributed to the dismantling of the federal structure in 1972. What was their role and possible reasons to that? We also were supposed to look at the myth and reality on the Southwest-Northwest divide, a topic that may come in on the second place this evening because we're expecting to have a balanced panel. I wanted two Northwesterners and two Southwesterners to discuss on this, but those I have been expecting are yet to show up. If they don't show up, we may have to take the second topic to another date. But we are starting with the question as to whether Anglophones contributed to the dismantling of the federal structure in 1972. We are discussing this with some panelists who are there already. Dr. Ernest Busie, he's an educationist and a psychologist who works at the University of Boya. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm very humbled to be here again today to analyze critical issues that affect our country. And Mr. Leo, we have a lot of problems in this country. Educational-wise, we can see our teachers are in strike. Primary schools, teachers are on strike. Secondary school teachers are on strike because of non-payment of arrears, because of issues of integration, because of issues of advancement. I think that teachers are the pillars of every country, and I think that in Cameroon, when we talk about problems, teachers have been marginalized in this country. You go to countries like Côte d'Ivoire, secondary school teachers, they enjoy the largest of their work and high pay package, and I think that in Cameroon today, Mr. Moderator, teachers are suffering a lot in Cameroon as motivation is concerned. Their payment packages are poor, especially those of the private sector. Some people teach.
Okay. We are also in the company of Lucas Ndive, member of Cameroon Civil Society. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to your panelists. It's a pleasure to be here once more to zoom in and out on issues that concerns the Republic of Cameroon. I am one of the Cameroonians who still believe that 2035 is possible. The possibility to achieve 2035 lies in our commitment and what we are able to do. I think it is not indeed a farce as some may be looking at it, but if we should put all hands on deck, eventually 2035 is going to be a reality.
Okay. We also in the company of Mr. Lenwi Clovis. They call him Gentle. He is a history teacher with some of our secondary schools out there in Boya, Southwest Regional Capital. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo and my media prime team. I'm happy to be here again after a very long time that I've not been on air. We are Cameroonian, and anything concerning Cameroon, we as a people must sit together to discuss it because it is for our concern. I keep saying that we cannot allow foreigners, strangers to come and discuss or to settle problems that we face. We need to face our problems, solve our problems so that we can better or move forward our country, Cameroon.
Okay. We also have just been joined by Mr. Larry Esong. He is the CEO of the Scoop Media Group, all the way from Kumba, Chieftain of Meme Division. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Leo and fellow panelists. It's a great joy for me to be part of this very animating platform again. It's been quite some time, and I think today's topics are quite interesting and enticing, and I believe that our viewers out there will definitely enjoy the contribution from each and every one of us.
You are still in the feeling, still vibrating from you are seeing the prolongation of the coronation of the paramount chief of the Bakuris.
Yeah, prolongation, you're right. And then at the same time, as a prince that I have never shown myself to be, I think I discovered an opportunity to probably showcase this very noble title and traditional aspect of me. And so the coronation of the paramount chief of Boya gave me an opportunity to take a flashback and probably to recall whom I really am, and that's why I think I'm carrying that very flag forward from hence.
Okay. We also are in the company of, they call him Metro, Alex Ndive. He's a politician, very, very, very interested in issues that are touching on our national life, who is based out there in the United Kingdom. Good evening. I'll call you Mula. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and good evening to the panelists and televiewers. It's always a pleasure to be on your program, a program that we disagree to agree. I hope we are going to have a very fruitful debate this evening.
Okay, I'll start with you. Barrister Alex Ndive, I'm starting the program with you. We are asking the question as to whether Anglophones contributed in the dismantling process of the federal structure in 1972. Was it, can we put all the blame on President Ahmadu Ahidjo?
To me, to a lesser extent, the Anglophone contributed to it. When I mean lesser, less than 1%, and I will tell you why, because this is very important. And my view is that Cameroon, if you look, I'll look at it legally and you look at the constitution of Cameroon, I believe there was a fait accompli, because I would say La République du Cameroun, as they were called then, in 1960, they had their independence before British West Cameroon. And what happened is that, what happened? They had a constitution in 1960. And this constitution was a precedent from France before we joined them. And immediately we joined them in 1961. The delegates framed a constitution and they gave all the powers to President Ahidjo. So if you look in Cameroon, we had a vice president. The vice president, there was no power. And I'm sure some of you must know this. Who was the vice president? Somebody too was from Francophone Cameroon, Pafoncha from Chad. So by that stage, there was no Anglophone there. You see, Ahidjo was from North, from East Cameroon. Pafoncha was from East Cameroon. So there was no Anglophone. So the foundation started only with Francophones without any Anglophone there, because Pafoncha was vice president until 1970. So from that, from the starting point, I would say it was about Francophone. So they were setting the pace without any Anglophone. Pamuna only came later on and became vice president for 2 years. That's 1970 to 1972, for 2 years. And later on, he became president of National Assembly. And if you look carefully, this was a fait accompli. Mr. Ahidjo, who started with the Cameroon Union Party, he signed a cooperation agreement with France in 1959, before West Cameroon joined them. So already there was a fait accompli, and the cooperation agreement was very essential and critical. The cooperation agreement stated quite clearly that Cameroon, the political, economic, and socio-cultural orientation should be determined by France. France shall manufacture our money. France shall guide and determine Cameroon's educational program. France shall, in case of natural resources, France should be the first person to come and exploit our natural resources.
Yeah, Barrister, these are things that were arrived at between Cameroon and France, which also implies that whatever accord Nigeria had with maybe with Britain, if we had decided to join Nigeria, we would have also followed whatever accord Nigeria had engaged. Are you saying that if we had joined Nigeria, we would have decided whatever accord to follow after they had? Yeah.
No, listen, in legal terms, if you do make an example, if you make a will, you divorce, that will become invalid. If you marry another woman, you had a will, the will is illegal. So that 1959 accord should have been illegal because you have married somebody else, West Cameroon. So I was supposed to link in. It was a fait accompli. So when we joined them in 1961, what happened now? They have delegates and they decided to make a federal constitution. If If you look at the United Kingdom, Scotland and Britain, they have what they call Act of Union. 100 years ago, it is still there until today. That's why Scotland was able to have a referendum in 2014, whether they wanted to leave or to remain with the United Kingdom. You see, they brought people, there was no agreement. They just made something called constitution, and they gave the power to President Ahidjo. Ahidjo have the knife and the yam. So the Cameroon have had from, I'm talking from La République de Cameroon to current Cameroon, we have about 5 constitutions. Then the 3rd constitution now was in 1972, when President Ahidjo abolished what the federal system. He was sold, he had all the power and gave himself more power. That's what happened. President Paul Biya came again too and gave more power and changed the constitutional successor. What happened in 1961 is the same thing that is happening today. You can see your Minister of National Education, he doesn't have any power. You can see your Prime Minister, they say he's the head of government, he cannot speak. He doesn't appoint the ministers. They say, oh, they consult him. But I look at the people that he appoints them. Prime Minister John Gute doesn't even know them. They are not his friends. Sometimes you bring people that you know in your government. So you see,
yes. Let me get to a history teacher who is on this platform. You are going a little bit away from the topic for tonight, Barrister, but I'm coming back to you. You have listened to him. He says 1% could be blamed on Anglophones, and that it was an Ahidjo affair.
Mr. Leo, I think I would like to limit the argument within the Federation, 1961 to 1972.
Yes.
And related to the Anglophones, I don't want to divert the argument. I think Ndive is too broad. I'll limit it within 1961 to 1972. It is very clear, history stated very clear that after reunification, 11 February 1961, that Foncha won. In Fumban, they agreed on the federal structure. And it went operational on the 1st of October 1961. Made of 2 states. Southern Cameroon was changed to the state of West Cameroon, and the Republic of Cameroon was changed to the state of East Cameroon, which is run for almost 11 years. That's 1961 to 1972. I think on the 20th of May 1972, the federal structure was abolished or closed down, and the United Republic of Cameroon was created of 7 provinces from that 1972 right to 1982. I mean 1984. I think there are a combination of many reasons why the federal structure was abolished in 1972. But let's look per se the center argument, which is on the contribution of Anglophones. I think we have France to blame, we have others to blame, but otherwise let's limit the argument within the issue of Anglophones. I think a greater percentage will be given to Anglophones that contributed to the abolition of federal structure in 1972. A greater percentage within, based on the topic that we are discussing today. We will blame the Anglophones for the closure or for stop putting an end to a federation in 1972. I will start with first point with the Anglophones. Within the Anglophones, that is, let's say West Cameroon, because when it changed from Southern Cameroon, when the federal structure was established, it became West Cameroon, or the state of West Cameroon. I think that is a phenomenon that continues to today. The first thing was backbiting, tribalism, political infighting within West Cameroon. I think that's the key issue that make the Federation and Anglophone to be vulnerable in the hand of Mr. Ahidjo. And he used the law to change it on the 20th of May 1972. What do I mean by backbiting? The political class of West Cameroon were not united. The political class of West Cameroon, even today, they have never been united. Mr. Lowe, had it been the political class of West Cameroon were united, they wouldn't have even been a plebiscite on 11 February 1961. From onset, Foncha was for reunification, Ndele was for association with Nigeria. Britain, their colonial master who governed them as a trustee, have tried on many occasions as a mandate to trustee, try on many occasions to bring them, before even plebiscite, Britain tried to bring Foncha and Ndele together on 2 outstanding conferences in London and in Manfi, August 19, but failed. Foncha stood for reunification, Ndele for association, putting Britain to hand it to UN for a plebiscite. See, today, Anglophone political class are not united. And that's the key problem that we are having today. If there's an Anglophone problem in Cameroon today, the foundation of Anglophone problem stands on the Anglophone political class who are not united. So what I'm saying is that Anglophone contributed to the closure of the federal structure in 1972 because of disunity among them, the political class. First, Foncha's KNDP and Ndele's CPNC have never come to one agreement between 1961 and 1972. Again, within the KNDP, there was the radicals of Augustine Gomjoa and the moderate of Mr. Foncha. They have never come to one agreement. Foncha, there was the key divisions among the West, among the Anglophones, make them vulnerable and make it easy for federation to be closed down in 1972. I would not like to lay more emphasis because I'll give floor to another person. So, had it been Anglophone political class were united, stand on one point, maybe had a one political party, it would have been better. Before the closure of all political parties in September 1966 to create Cameroon National Union under Ahidjo, there were many political parties in West Cameroon. KNC of Ndele, later changed to CPNC. Foncha's KNDP. In 1965, because political infighting in West Cameroon, Mona was forced to create her own political party, Cameroon United Congress, which some of them call it Cameroon United Crooks. There was a lot of political infighting. Mr. Leo, on the 26th of February 1972, before 26th February 1972, before the next month, that is May, that they will change the Federal Republic of Cameroon to United. Augustine Gomjoa wrote a letter to Amada Ahidjo, begging you that, sir, the people are giving slanders about me, lying to you that I want to create a political party, of which I'm not creating any political party. I'm loyal to your only single political party, CNU. Most Anglophone political elite class were not united. That is the first key issue that contributed to the closure. There are many other reasons that we're coming back.
Yes, Dr. Busie.
Yes, I want to look at it from a different perspective. I will not only blame Anglophones, but I want to start from 1961, when at the Fumban conference, I think that the problem started there. The Anglophone problem started at the Fumban conference. Because when you look at it from a detailed perspective, the late President Amadou Ahidjo wanted a kind of centralized federation. And a centralized federation meant that powers were in the hands of the president himself, but not in the federated state. And people like Foncha, they were surprised about the Fumban. And they wanted a kind of loose federation. But that was not the case. So with that kind of system, it gave power to His Excellency President Amadou Ahidjo, and he was like an autocratic leader. He was like a dictator at that point in time because he was the one imposing and appointing even inspectors. He appointed federal inspectors, and some of these federal inspectors were not even loyal to the prime minister. By then, Foncha was the prime minister, and they were not loyal to Foncha. And I think that the problem of Anglophones from 1961 to 1972 started from there before the federal state was abolished. I think that was because of the system of governance of His Excellency Amadou Ahidjo. He wanted power at the central level, a kind of centralized governance where power was not given to the Anglophones. But I want to say that there were divisions among the Anglophone leaders like Ndele, Gomjoa, Foncha, the Tumasa, PM Kale. They had this division of they wanted political power. And they wanted who would represent them, especially with Foncha, when Foncha was prime minister and still the vice president. There was this duplication of services, and it was so problematic. And Ndele wanted power too. Ndele wanted more with Nigeria, because before Cameroon joined La République du Cameroun, because La République du Cameroun had their independence in 1960. And during the plebiscite, when Southern Cameroon joined La République du Cameroun, they were first of all a trust territory under Britain. And as a trust territory under Britain, their way of life, their education, and everything was under the Eastern House in Nigeria. And they were already used to the Eastern House of Nigeria. So the disparity between Foncha and Ndele was so problematic, because Ndele wanted more with Nigeria, while Foncha wanted unification with La République du Cameroun. So it created a lot of ethnic favoritism. It created a lot of indigenous superiority issues. It created a lot of problems among this elite class, and it led to regional politics. And I want to say that the regional politics between those who were coming from the northern zone and the southern zones became very problematic, and they were not united. And Ahidjo also. Yes.
Northern zones?
They were the northern zone.
Yes. Okay.
They were the northern zones and the southern zones.
Okay.
And the northern zone, most of them joined Nigeria, while the southern zones joined La République du Cameroon. So, Mr. Moderator, the problem was with Ahidjo to a greater extent, because Ahidjo many a times amended the constitution. He was changing the constitution to favor a centralized state, because he already had so much problem with the UPC. Because the UPC was a political party that was against his governance.
Yeah, but we should be clear. When Faucha went to Fumban, most southern Cameroon in the mind with the loose federation. But at the end of the Fumban conference, even under the Federal Republic of Cameroon, which happened in 1971-1972, it was a centralized federation.
That's what we're saying. That's the same thing.
They agree on the centralized federation.
That's the same thing. It was a centralized governance, and it affected the leadership of those in West Cameroon.
Yeah, but now it was a centralized. They were in Fumban. They agreed. They were living, and in 1966 they agreed to dissolve the parties in favor of the CNU.
Yes, you know, the problems which came up between 1957 and 1960 gave Ahidjo the idea on how to quash the Anglophones and to abolish that particular system. I said so because he had studied. We should not forget that the UPC movement, which was in East Cameroon then, was already a problem to that particular country. And they found a safe haven in West Cameroon. And because some of these members sought refuge in West Cameroon and they had it, it was already a problem to the CNU. It was already a problem to Amadou Ahidjo. So all he could do was to study that system. He took it from 1957 effectively, and he studied 1957, 1958, 1959, where he traveled to France. At the time, André Marin Binda thought he was going to be the one. By the wake of 1960, 1st of January, Ahidjo had played his cards well. And coming to Cameroon, he was announced that he was the president of La République du Cameroon. Now, having studied this system, it was but obvious to him, and he already understood what to do. These are reasons why, going to Fumban, he had a background knowledge on how to handle these persons in Fumban, because he knew already that the ideology of the UPCs, the Mumis, the Umyebes, and the Ernest Wandi, these guys had sought refuge in southern Cameroon. So it was but obvious that their ideology, that radical system, was already into some of the British southern Cameroon politicians. So most of them, those who supported the idea of one Cameroon, eventually they resonated with people like the Felix Mumi and the others, given that they were already advocating for one Cameroon. So all what Ahidjo was doing was basically a farce. He knew already it was some kind of a hoax. He knew what exactly he was doing. All the issues of the draft constitution that was given to Foncha, which he heeded, because this is the background of the reason why we found ourselves in 1972. For those who may be taking it just between the period of 1961 and 1972, they may not really understand why Ahidjo had such mastery on how to manipulate the people. I would want to say that Ahidjo was relatively very wise. He understood, as a politician who wanted more for himself, he knew exactly what to do. So by 1960, 1961, while we were at Fumban, all of the techniques and the tricks he played, he was already very aware of these things. Now, to further buttress his opinion, he had to abolish the multipartism, because he knew exactly how it would have been difficult to have 1972 sail through. So in order...
That's the question I've asked.
Yes. So in order for him not to have 1972 not to sail through, he had to abolish the multi-party system by 1966. This was the clear pace setter. Given that by the time you are talking about CNU, a single political party, with all the powers he has consolidated in Yaoundé, it was but obvious that the parliamentarians who decided this, take note, The 1972 decision was not on the universal suffrage. It was decided in the parliament. So, having prepared this ground by 1966, it was but obvious at this point that 1972 was going to work out very well. So the Anglophones whom we are talking about today practically had little or nothing to do as pay contributions to abolish the federal structure. Yes, given that when you follow the background of happenings, Ahidjo understood. So having abolished now the multi-party system and he has consolidated power, given that for you to become a member of the CNU, then the president who was President Amadou Ahidjo must have endorsed your incoming. So when you are heading into the parliament, just like the obese parliament that we have today, when you are heading into the parliament, you were eventually heading for Ahidjo. In the parliament, there was basically no opposition, given that it was already a one-party system where Ahidjo was the king. Okay. So the king knew how to play his card.
Funcha was even at the back seat. Yes. Was even at the back seat during the Fumban conference.
No, So Mr. Leo,
we cannot blame it on,
I think the Anglophones played no part in destroying the system. Where I would have been calling on them to come in and see how we could fix things is, it is not good to have a divided house because you give an easy way for your enemy to manipulate you.
Okay. Let me say something. I'm just saying that this debate
can you check the volume issue on our Facebook page, please? Some persons are not very comfortable with it. Yeah.
I'm still saying that I wish that we should limit the argument within part played by Anglophones in the closure or the abolition of the federal structure in 1972. Yes, we should not just give dog a band name for one to have the dog.
At the same time, while I have not even been given the word, at the same time, we cannot actually be talking of 1961 to 72 without giving a background.
No, I want
because we should be able to get a retrospect of how things did not just happen because they wanted it just promptly.
Larry, I want him to be brief because I want you to go back to the 1966 stuff where almost everybody had to dissolve for the CNU.
No, Mr. Lou, let me just take over. I will not be brief. There are a lot of things that I will
Right, maybe I will be brief because I'm not a historian there.
The question is, we are getting to Fumba 1961 to fix our living together. And we think that because almost everybody says that some persons were not happy, some Anglophones were not happy with the way things went. And in 1966, we still agree to dissolve in favor of a unity party, giving our powers to one person. How serious were we?
Seriousness, I think...
because we were already complaining that we were manipulated at the Fumba conference. But we still agreed in 1966 to dissolve for this.
Look at this whole thing. I will not even my take will be a little bit different.
Okay.
How will it go? It's going to be this whole thing. Both Ahidjo and the actors, the political actors in West Cameroon then, were all puppets in the hands of France. Everything was done teleguided by France. That is the truth. Now, every other thing was done and was just forced on them by France. Ahidjo was taking instruction from France. France basically did every other thing in order to assimilate the West Cameroon then. And so every other thing, any sitting or any constitutional amendment that was being done within this period took into cognizance and into account France's interest or French interest in this whole thing. So that's why you will see that Ahidjo will, from 1961, between 1961 and 1972, must have had, constitutional changes and some other radical, I want to call them unconstitutional, actions that he took as president. Now, he also benefited from the naivety of our politicians. I don't want to excuse them here. I think I want to date them. They had a personality complex.
Yeah, because Larry Moore, writing from Limbe, says that, good evening, there is one thing your panelists are forgetting. When the Fumba conference came up, and Ahidjo brought the only constitution for the conference, and they told Foncha that they should look for a lawyer to study the documents before they sign it.
So what am I trying to say? This thing that has been evoked, the personality conflict and the inferiority evoked by previous speakers, played a very great role in what today seemed to be, the depravity, or what do I call it, being deprived of the federal system that has laid down some good working system, because it is still the same thing we're seeing today. We're coming back to some special status, something that with public independent conciliators. We had state inspectors in those days, and today we are still coming back to the same thing, which therefore means it is something that is not, France does not want to give it. And so whenever France is giving, is giving you the goat, is holding the rope. And so, because today, what are we talking about? A special status. A special status with elected officials who are still being lorded over by appointed governors, and then you bring in a public independent conciliator who has the same powers like somebody who has been elected as a president of the regional house. I think I think it's a pointer to the fact that it is something that is nobody is willing to give you. So let's.
Mr. Leo, let me say, I think I'm still repeating that I'm trying to limit the argument within the context, the context of the topic. The complete topic say that Anglophones, what part did they play in the closure of the federal structure in 1972?
You are the teacher, so you are giving you want to respect the marking scheme.
No, even like marking scheme. I want to be clear on the platform here. The reason why I'm saying this is because I'm not blaming Ahidjo. He had a part to play in the closure. I'm not blaming France. But let's look within ourselves. We, the Anglophones, West Cameroon, today Northwest and Southwest, how did we contribute to the closure of the federal structure in 1972? Mr. Leo, the federal structure that started from 1961 to 1972, that 11 years. Another part played by Anglophones that contributed to the closure of the federal structure in 1972 was the Grassfield or Northwest domination of the federal government in West Cameroon.
Okay.
Yes, the KNGP government of Mr. Jongu Foncha was dominated mostly by people from the Northwest region. By then, there were no Northwest, people of the Grassfield region, the Bamenda area. Mr. Lowe, the federal government of West Cameroon from 1961 to 1972 had 3 prime ministers. The 3 state prime ministers in West Cameroon were all from Northwest today, were all from the Grassfield today, Northwest, beginning with Foncha, 1961-1965, taken over by Augustin Gomjoa, 1965-1968, and lastly, Estimona, 1968 to 1972. They were all from Northwest. That's the first thing. Secondly, under the KNTB government of Mr. Jongu Foncha in West Cameroon, most people who occupy, let me say, like managers of state corporation and others were mostly from the Northwest region at the time. These are very historical facts, not something. For example, there was a West Cameroon Development Agency to manage projects in West Cameroon, mostly managed by people of Northwest, to the Northwest. There was a West Cameroon Bank, mostly managed by people of Northwest. How does that contribute? It made some elite of Southwest region to the Southwest. By that time, they called the forest zone. They felt neglected. In November 19th, they felt marginalized. They felt marginalized mindset. That's the mindset of most people of the then forest zone today in Southwest. They felt marginalized. Mr. Leonard, in November 1964, a certain Mr. Waters, Carson Mesombe, created what was called VICOMA, Victoria Comba Manfi. The reason why he created VICOMA, it was a pressure group to fight and defend the people of Southwest from being dominated by the people of Northwest when it comes to the politics of West Cameroon. When he created VICOMA in November 1964, the main reason was to put an end to the Southwesterners believe that they have been marginalized by the Northwest. And the trend continued because when they had the meeting, they said that if we sadden Cameroon, one of the key reasons why we escaped from Nigeria was evil domination. But now, among we sadden Cameroon, the Grassfield is dominating us again. So we of the South were the minority. It continued. In November, in 1963, there was a meeting held by CPNC, that's Ndele's political party members, Ajebe Sone, Ndele himself, Nanyongo, and many of them, they held a meeting in Mr. Ndele's
historical facts.
Yes, these are historical facts. In that meeting, they said that no, Foncha is the vice president of West Cameroon. He's from Northwest. And in 1965, following the federal constitution, he cannot occupy the post of vice president and state prime minister. Someone should take over again. Between the two contestants, Augustin Gomjoa and Mona, they are all from Northwest. A certain man called PM Kemcha, who was for the Southwest, he dropped off. So when the heads meeting, they were saying that no, there's too much of Northwest domination. So now, by 1972, what happened now? Some elite of Southwest, today Southwest, they supported Ahidjo to create the federal republic, to dissolve federal and introduce unity state so that they will have their own region and Southwest and they will control their affair. Because it remains under West Cameroon, the Grassfield continues to dominate them. Yeah, those are historical facts. But
I'm sure we raised this earlier on, and Barrister Alex Lisinga says that these guys were appointed by the President of the Republic.
That I'm saying that I'm not refusing. Article 39 of the Federal Constitution gives power to Ahidjo to appoint the Prime Minister of West Cameroon, but upon the proposal of the Vice President. Okay. And Ahidjo, Foncha bring in people who can take over Mona from Northwest. Njua from Northwest. So the people of Southwest or the then forest, they were not happy. So I'm saying that by one of the part that played by Anglophones in the closure of Federal Constitution Federal Constitution 1972, they said that no. People, the elite of Southwest, we are tired of domination. We free from Nigeria because of Igbo domination. Now here is the Grassfield domination. So we should be clear. Those are historical facts that contribute to the closure of federal structure. I will not. Another factor was civil servant. The civil servant in West Cameroon had their salary was not up to that of East Cameroon. Because yes, there was disparity in salary. Yeah. But I think by 1966, but yes, by 1966, the federal, the per capita income of civil servant in West Cameroon was around 19,500 francs. But that of East Cameroon was 46,000 francs. Yeah. By 1972, most civil servants in West Cameroon prefer that Cameroon should be changed from federal to unity so that they will harmonization. Or they harmonize and they have a better salary. Okay. Those are historical factors that led to the closure. Those are a part played by Anglophones that contributed to the closure of federal structure by 1972.
Okay, Met Alex, I'm sure you followed lots of discussions out here in the studio. Many persons think that the elites did not do, the political elites did not do well to fight to defend what was supposed to be theirs.
Did Anglophones contribute to dismantle the structure? That is the question. I've seen just the last speaker have been saying that we should confine it. We understand it. We know it. And we are talking about it. I agree with what some of the panelists are saying there. And we must distinguish between facts and opinion. The last speaker is giving a lot of opinion. I know Dr. Ndeli personally when I was a boy. Cameroon. He is saying that the point he is making, saying that Dr. Ndeli wanted to join Nigeria, they were divided. No. After Dr. Ndeli removed us from Nigeria, Enugu, he was against Nigeria. That's why he removed us and gave us autonomy in Boya in 1954. Dr. Ndeli made it clear that we should not join. I have to correct this fact because we are on public domain and people should not be misquoting people. Dr. Ndeli said no to La République too. So when you say no to Nigeria, you say no to La République, we know what he wanted. That is a fact. Then when we talk about this unity, when Dr. Ndeli, after Foncha became the prime minister, what happened? It is clear we should know. We cannot say they were disagreeing. Dr. Ndeli, Pa Foncha won the election. He was the leader now in West Cameroon. So you cannot say they were disagreeing. The leader leads. The issue we should be talking about is about competence. I don't care whether you come from Northwest or Southwest. The issue were the leaders, were they competent? Were they competent? That's what we should be talking about. I don't care whether you come from Grassfield. If they were competent, we shouldn't be talking today whether you were from the Grassfield or Northwest and Southwest. Call it. The problem was lack of competence, and maybe people were looking at their personal gains rather than looking at the country or their representative. That was their point. And at some point in time, if you put people who don't understand politics, who don't understand certain things, what happens? If they are not working for the interests of our people, they will go in a different direction. And I agree with one of the panelists who said, most of these people were puppets. If you were Jua, you were stubborn. What do? They kick you out. They look for a person who will say, yes, sir. That's how it was working then. It's a fact, and it's still part of what is happening today. It is a fact. That's why I don't blame them too much. We had good people from West Cameroon, the place where we call today Northwest and Southwest. We have competent people. The problem is, if you're competent, you're somebody who is opinionated, they kick you behind and they look for somebody who will sing hallelujah. That's how it works. And that's how it was working from 19 60, 61, 72 up till now. So we shouldn't make mistake. To me, we are going to go to that topic later on about Northwest-Southwest divide, which we'll talk about it. But to me, to a greater extent, the system was set before independence. Make sure, don't make any mistake. This is what happened between us. They defeated the Germans, and these people divided those territory for themselves. It was for their interests. They were working for their interests, not for the people of Northwest and Southwest, as we call it today. We should take note. And most people say that, oh, we wanted national unity. That's why in 1966, Ahidjo banned all the political parties of national unity. That was just I would call it was a 419, because democracy is about unity in diversity. Because today we have been shifting, going back to where we were in 1961. We have been shifting, and we are going to be going there gradually, and one day we are going to be there. So to me, I don't sit here and say, oh, Anglophones were fighting each other, they were divided. No, we want competent people to run us. We don't bother where you come from. That's what we should be striving for. And in a democracy, you need division, you need diversity. Democracy is about unity in diversity. We shouldn't be misusing that name that we were not united. It doesn't mean, if there's check and balances, it doesn't mean that you're not united. One person on that panel said that we should have one party. One party is dictatorship. In the UK, I'll tell you something. The Scottish National Party and the Green Party, they are different political parties, but they agree on independence. So they have come into coalition based only on independence. But when it comes to other policies like environment, education, and other things, they are not together. They're on independence. So we as Anglophones, if we want to come together as political party, we must identify the area that we agree on. You cannot say somebody who is following the CPDM policy should be with somebody with SDF, will be with somebody with British Cameroon National Party. No. As Anglophones, you look at a common interest, not in everything, in a particular thing. What do we want to fight for together, a particular thing? We identify it, then we do it. That's how politics works.
When you say persons on this panel should not talk about division, when you look across the political chessboard in the Northwest and Southwest regions today, is there unity among the political actors?
I was just saying something, that what happens, we look at what we can agree on, not everything. CPDM is a political party. A political party is people who have similar ideologies. So we cannot agree on everything. There are things that SDF can agree with another party.
Matt, please, I don't want us to be too theoretical. We are in the Northwest and Southwest regions. Away from the 1961 to 1972 political actors, you have observed the political landscape in Cameroon. You have known political actors in the Northwest and Southwest regions. There is an Anglophone crisis, and you have seen those who have come up as leadership. On what have we agreed as Anglophones?
My point is, Mr. Kum, when you talk as those who have agreed on leadership, I know that as a leader, you don't need to elect somebody. But to be honest, you don't need people. I will still give you, I like to talk and speak with example. In South Africa.
No, let's talk. We are talking Cameroon. We are talking Cameroon. We are talking Cameroon. No. Matt, please. We are talking Cameroon. We have. Matt. You want to take us to South Africa? Let us talk Cameroon, please.
No, that's my point. I'm talking about.
The topic is on Cameroon.
Ideology, they come together. Listen, my point is,
yes.
People can have different ideologies.
Yes.
They come together. That's what I'm saying. They come together.
Let us assume. Let us assume.
Cannot say you want to come. Listen, Mr. Kum, just let me lie. It's my space. Let me lie.
Go on.
Listen, you cannot see. Okay, let me tell you. We are Anglophones. Okay.
Yes.
There are people who sing one and indivisible Cameroon. There are people who want separation. They call it what? Unionists. Those who want one and indivisible Cameroon. Those who want to separate. So those who want to separate should come together and create something. And those who want one and indivisible Cameroon should come together. You cannot join all of them because we have difference of opinion.
Yeah, but my question...
You cannot expect all Anglophones to be together. Even in our family, in our home, we are not together. Then you want to join people that you don't even know. Mr. Lu, even with your friends, you have differences. You cannot join Northwest and Southwest all together. Even inside Southwest, we have differences. Inside Northwest, we have differences. So we can...
you are going political here. You are going political. My question to you, please. My question to you is: you have grown in Cameroon. You've known the likes of Nijon Frunzi. You've known the likes of Jolly Tumbe, Senator Mbela Muki Charles, and a plethora, Kawala, and I'm talking about politicians from the Southwest and Northwest regions. What is it that they have agreed to achieve together? As a lesson from... Yeah.
I will tell you that you are asking me John Fundi or Kawala's question, but what I'm telling you, if we should be speaking to the voters. We should not be talking as politicians. I will keep on saying this. Some people think I'm crazy. If you have a good manifesto that reflects the electorate, the voters, what they want, it's not about people come together. 100 people can come together and they go for an election, they will lose. It's your manifesto. What we do in Cameroon, we do what I call politics of personality court. Let's draft something. I used to be in Southern Cameroon Youth League when I was in Cameroon. We joined what? The SCNC. We came up with a document and all of us were following that document. So why is it that the politicians, they cannot come up with something that they agree on? Then people will be following that document, not because we're a leader.
Okay. You are asking the question why the politicians cannot come together. Exactly the question I've been asking you, because we have had political actors on the political landscape of the Southwest and Northwest regions for the past 40 years, yet we cannot see them work together. Let's take a short break. We come and continue.
C'est bientôt l'heure de ma série sur Novelas.
Ah, mon film aussi passe sur Nollywood. Hein.
Avec la nouvelle application Canal+, retrouvez plus de 25 000 programmes en replay, profitez de 200 chaînes en direct et contrôlez votre consommation de data. Téléchargez-la dès maintenant, c'est inclus dans votre abonnement.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Eye on my Media Prime. We are looking at what Anglophones did as a contribution to the dismantling of the federal structure in 1972. We are going to be moving straight to a second topic, which has to do with the Southwest-Northwest divide. Is it a myth or a reality? We'll start with you, the eldest in the house. Larry Esong, you are a media personality, you are a prince, and so much talk about the Southwest-Northwest divide. And I'll also start by asking whether we learned lessons from the politicians we've been talking about in the early 60s and 70s.
Unfortunately not. I don't think we've learned that lesson. If we did, will not find ourselves where we are today. Will not find the West Cameroon politicians and Anglophone politicians from the Northwest and Southwest region fighting each other at each other's throat, backstabbing each other, mudslinging, kind of, doing the kind of dirty politics that is happening out there, that they are doing. So I think we've not learned any lesson. The lessons, the genesis of this problem is still very much untouched. It's very much unsolved. And I believe that until we touch the crux of it, the core. Your teacher here enumerated some of the causes. That is when I think I needed this, because I had most of what he said here is exactly what I think we have to first of all tackle. There is this that aspect of dominance from one portion of the Anglophone against another, and there is that aspect of feeling hated by another. That maybe the fact that I am industrious, I am progressing, it doesn't make my other brother comfortable in that situation. So we have these issues where you realize that some of the institutions that are here somewhere and headed by a particular person from this region. And even when it comes to even the South, within the Southwest, where they expect that at least as a minority they could also pick up some thing and go to that they are still undertaking there. So it becomes some of these things, like he was saying, some of these things have contributed in no little way to this division and what we call today a myth. A myth to me, because it's not a myth to me, because when you go to the definition of myth, it has about two facets. That which means that we have a common source of traditional and maybe ancestral source, and the other one that talks of a belief that is a false belief, that a belief that is held maybe falsely. So I think the first part of it, the first part is something, a reality. If only we could probably rest and probably correct some of the foibles and the shortcomings of the previous or the genesis of what we had there, because they still take their roots from the 1960s to 1960 something to right now. Because we're one people, we believe that we're fighting for the same cause, we're moving on the same pace. But when some of these things start happening along the line where this man feels very uncomfortable with his brother and everything, the tendency is for him to even side with a stranger against you. So that's exactly what is happening.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Barrister is very theoretical, always speaking away from the topic. The guy with the African way has really unveiled the true issue that led to the dismantling of the federal structure in 1972. Ayuk is writing from Germany. Good evening to you, Ayuk. Good evening. Mr. Liu and Leonard Panelists, Article 68 of the Federal Constitution adamantly and categorically refused a change in the form of the state. Hence, the president called for a referendum in 1972 that changed the form of state from federal to a united republic was a violation of the Constitution, hence null and void. Foncha did not propose Muna as prime minister because Muna had already broken links with the KNDP to form the CUC in 1965, partly due to grudges that he was not appointed prime minister in 1965. But Jua 40 is writing from Bermuda. Yes, I want us to look at this myth when you look at what is, yes.
Yes, Mr. Leo, I want to say that when we look at the orientations and the dynamics from 1961 to present, they have not changed. They have not changed in the sense that there's a lot of tribalistic orientation in our politics. Many a times you see the SDF party, somebody will say that's a party from the Northwest, a Grassfield party. I quite remember in 1991, especially when there was multi-party politics in this country, some people saw the SDF as a tribal party, not as a national party. So Anglophones many a times had their own problems. And most of this problem can be seen among the elite class, the elite political class in Cameroon. Because when you look at the elite political class in Cameroon, there's always this problem of ethno-regional social movement, where they create certain movements and they think that positions of governance, prestigious positions, should come from one region. And that's the case. They always feel that ministers should come from one region. They always feel that some other regions have been marginalized. Like the Southwest who feel that they have been marginalized, they have all the resources, they have Sonera, they have CDC, and so on and so forth, and they are marginalized. Even during the federal system, West Cameroon also saw that, because in West Cameroon, resources in Southern Cameroon, especially petrol, oil, and the CDC, all the resources, everything was taken back to Yaoundé in the treasury before redistributed back to the state. We own resources in our regions, but we don't enjoy the resources. The resources, everything is sent back to the central government, and the central government redistribute it to the state. So, especially the Southwest region have always felt that they are marginalized. But I don't want to look at it from that perspective. Northwest, Southwest is a divide and rule system that they are bringing. And this divide and rule system is affecting the geopolitics of Northwest and Southwest in terms of development, in terms of orientation, and so on. So I think that it's a problem from the elite class of Cameroon. The elite class of Cameroon have created a lot of problems, because when Suela was created in about 1990, Suela was not created today. When Suela was created, some of the members at that time met the present president of this country on the orientation of federation. And their orientation was a 10-state federation, because they feel that being with the Northwest and the Southwest, in 1961, the Northwesterners dominated most of the positions as the prime minister of that area was concerned. But I don't see things like that. I want us to look at things from a different dynamics. Times have changed. I feel that the Northwest and Southwest should come together and look for the future of the Northwest and Southwest, because there is the problem of marginalization, yes, and there's also the problem of the issue of land grabbing, the issue of land, especially the Southwest feel that they have the Northwesterners, indigenous from the Northwest have grabbed their land. That should not be the case. We are all looking at the history of the Northwest and Southwest. We are brothers and sisters. We should be looking at a way in which we can come together and look for a better political future of our country. So what kills the Northwest and Southwest is regional politics, and this regional politics is not healthy, and the use of hate speech. It is not healthy for the Northwest and Southwest.
Yeah, but now you say it is politically motivated from Yaoundé.
Yeah,
did you follow the campaigns? Did you follow the campaigns of John Foncha when at the time that was early?
Yeah. 1959, 1960, reunification.
What were some of the things he said?
One of the backing factor for Foncha that make him to win Ndele 1959 election and even 1961 reunification was the grassland population. The grassland population. Yeah, but he will make statement like his political campaign will make statement like me Foncha Ibamenda man. And over Ndele Bakuriman, that issues begin with the elite class as early as the 1960s. And so on. Earlier the 1960s. I think that's one of the points. Mr. Leo, please let me just take
No. He has to talk. Yes. After him, he will come in.
Okay.
Yes. This is it. There are two. Now, it is a myth when this is concerned, or when we talk about the people on the ground, and it is the reality with the politicians. You find it in the two classes of people. If you were to sample the opinion of the average Southwesterner, he would tell you that he has no problem with a Northwesterner. But if you were to sample the opinion of a Southwest politician, he would tell you that he has a problem with the Northwesterners, and the vice versa. What is the problem? Some of these people, they have decided to create this gap for personal interests. This is where I come in with the aspect of they being bounty patriots. Because their focus is on that bounty they get against the development, and the welfare of their people. They forget about their people and they focus on their personal benefits. Let us take the case of those who complain from the Southwest region that they are being marginalized. You would hear about the elite class, and the sad thing is this elite class have succeeded to imbibe this in those who are residing on the ground. It started with those who are coming from the central government. Because of all of this, it has caused some of those on the ground to start looking at their brothers from the Northwest region as persons not worthy to live with, and the vice versa. But if you look at what is happening, let me take a practical case. Let us take the ongoing senseless war. Mr. Leo, if you go to Mamfe, the attitude of the guy in Mamfe is not different from that guy in Gokutunja. The attitude of that guy in Zian is not different from that of Wum. What does this mean? It therefore means that these persons are the level of the people you call the commoners. The populists have a different mentality with regards to this. But the politicians who are the ones reaping from the people have a total different mindset. So what are they doing? They are creating this divide, struggling to imbibe, to induce this into some of these populists. And the populists, sadly nowadays, are struggling to buy into this particular ideology. This is why I said it is a myth to the populists and it is the reality with the politicians. But I really do not see this to be coming from these people, because if you were to wave away even what we inherited from the British, you would realize that before the Germans came, the people from the Grassfield and the forest zone had a particular mindset. I have been saying this over time. Now, history says when the Germans came and made the arrangement with the kings and the chiefs of Douala, you will realize that the people from the forest zone and the Grassfield was left out. That is to tell you that their focus was not these people. But what is happening? When the central government understood that I could use this system to divide the people, what did they do? They had to continue preaching this. It is the reason why I will still go back to 1957 right up till date. Ahidjo understood this very well. Even when the UPCs, some of them ran into these areas, when they came, not every one of them had it comfortable. Some of those from the Northwest region felt like there was no reason for us to usher out these people. But what happened? Some of those from the Southwest region were told that you do not need to allow these people on your territory. So the hospitality of the people began fading out. I believe that because of this political reality, whereas it is a myth when it comes to the populists, the politicians who are calling the shot, given that they are the ones having the finance, they are the ones to tell the people, when you are hungry, the person who comes with food, you will easily give in to that person. Okay. So I think that the populists do not hold this particular ideology, but the politicians does.
I'll take that challenge. I'll move down to Nsah division. I'll move down to Fako division, to Meme, and maybe Kupe Maninguba, to either justify or defeat what you just said. I'll also do the same for the Northwest region.
Yes, if I were to be given 1 minute,
I will say something. I'm not a politician on this platform. I bring facts. I'm not a politician.
You are a teacher of history.
I'm a politician. Yes. One of the right of the one of your messages. Somebody talk. We are here to educate the population. Somebody talk about the federal articles of which we should be clear about this. This federal. Somebody said that article. This. We should be clear. I want to clarify before I go to this. I think what from the articles of the federal constitution, Article 48 states that nothing should be done to tamper with the federal structure. That was for Article 48. But Article 42 said that the Cameroonian people, their sovereignty can be given to them to rule their deputies in the Federal Assembly and to rule the ways of referendum. That's Article 2. And Article 8 goes again to say that anything that can be decided, voted into law, must pass through the Federal Assembly. And Article 18, let me tell you something, Mr. Lowe. Article 18 goes again to say that had it been out of the 50 federal deputies, had it been only 6 federal ministers of West Cameroon voted against federation, Ahidjo would not have abrogated it. Because he made a statement that Ahidjo passed, it was, yes, Ahidjo indicate in the CNU political bureau on the seat of May 1976 that he want to change Cameroon federal to unitary. Foreign laws, according to, because we still have that mindset that they went against the federal Article 48. Apart from going against Article 48, other articles also back Ahidjo to change Cameroon federal to unitary. I'm not here a politician, just a historical facts. Now, coming to the Northwest-Southwest divide, it is, I see it's a reality.
Okay.
Yes, not only, even from a common man. See, if we don't face the truth, if we don't face the truth, I've grown all my life and stuff. If we don't face the truth, we should stop pretending. There's a Northwest-Southwest problem. And Mr. Leo, I keep telling people something that the foundation of Anglophone problem stand on the Anglophone disunity. There's an Anglophone problem and the foundation of Anglophone disunity. Political class disunity. That's the see. I'm saying that if we don't handle it, is a foundation till the Anglophone political disunity become political unity. It will be hard for Anglophone problem to be solved. Even if it's Anglophone problem, it will not have anything. It has must stand on a solid foundation. We cannot be crying about Anglophone problem. Meanwhile, the political foundation is divided. We should face the reality. What is the Anglophone? What is the Northwest-Southwest problem? The Northwest-Southwest problem is very clear. Southwest man, the minority, is crying that the majority Anglophone, Northwesterners, are marginalizing them. We should be clear. We should be clear about this aspect. There's the crying aspect of, see, if we keep running away from problem, the problem keep facing us.
That's it.
We should face the truth. Yes, first of all, we must accept that the Northwesterner is more than the Southwesterner in terms of population. Numerically, yes, agree on that. Yeah, let me say.
The predominant French part of the country should equally be doing what they are doing.
What is the key?
Because you think they are more population, which I will not buy to that.
Let me take the Anglophone problem in marginalization. The Southwest Northwest division in marginalization.
That's it.
If we are to say that we should solve problem of Francophone marginalization over Anglophone minority, yes. We should solve problem of Northwest majority over Southwest minority. Right. These are very clear. We should not be running for our problems.
That's the please. Okay, yeah. Yes, I think. I'm just. I don't always like to compliment, but I have to compliment this because that is the crux of the very divide and rule. Because when you look, for instance, look at the structures we have here. Have you been to Baptist hospital? Who is leading? Now, when you throw in the Southwest region, I want to say, in the Southwest the Baptist congregation, you look at every other component of recruitment. The ratio there is 90 to 10 in the Southwest.
We should be clear.
That is the truth. Now go to CDC. I will not refuse the fact that previous GMs have been until Mafani Musonge. There was no
inherently demand from the Northwest. Let me has always been that person who works. What if somebody?
It is not. Are we saying that? Are we saying that? No. Are we saying that? There were other people who could not work. How did Musonge?
Should we accept
there was Musonge not working? So other people. I know. But let's put it. Let us be sincere in this thing. There is this minority problem, that is, there is this dominance of a brother over another because of numerical strength, yes. Which is which is the crux, I want to say, is the core of what is today referred to as Anglophone problem. Because when you imagine that in the Southwest, we are saying that somebody, that is 10 regions we are. They are supposed to send representatives to Yaoundé from each region. Yeah, and then from Bamenda, you are sending a Metaman. And then from the Southwest region, you still send a Metaman or some other person. I mean, does that represent the Southwest? Does it? No, at the national level. Who will feel fine? No, let me land now. Who will feel fine that at the end of the day, even in his home, he cannot have a representative? Is it that he's not too qualified to do it?
Okay.
That's right.
Just land. So that
I think the microphone was with me. It's not a matter of living together. It's not a matter of living together. We go to Southwest, see many Northwesterners in Southwest,
No,
you go to Norway. It's not a problem living together.
No.
We're looking at
it's a matter of eating together.
It's a matter of, yes. Mr. Leo, go to CDC. 80%, 70% of workers at CDC are from Northwest. Go to CBC, this Baptist Convention, this religious group. See, the truth is that Southwesterner don't have any problem with Northwesterner. He's a minority and trying to protect the interests of minority. It is very clear. And how is he trying to protect the interests of minority? That, for the fact that I'm a smaller, it's just like in the Anglophone problem. Anglophones are trying to be equal with the majority of Anglophones, saying that we are marginalized. The same with the Southwesterners who are in the minority.
We are not saying
we are. Yes.
But this is exactly what the Southwest is grounding under the same way.
So what I'm saying
is grounding under the same way.
What I'm saying is that
let's cure ourselves.
Let me land.
I think that we should cure our Panadol before going to.
Let me land. If we sit on the platform like this to educate people, let's face a problem.
Yeah, can we talk with facts, please? We should not just be talking. Talk with facts from. Talk with facts.
There is an easy way to handle this with facts. I wish.
How did just land now?
No, we can still bring them. We can bring the facts.
Let me take over.
Yes, please. The essence of this program is that there is a problem.
That's right.
There is a problem, and we want to talk about it. Yes. These are issues that people are hiding to talk about it. I think that we can only fix a problem when we identify where the problems are, we apportion responsibilities and see how we can work together. I'm sure we're going to do another similar program with some if we can have actually some elders say these things, because I've had some discussions. Yes.
Permit me, I will not refuse that there is a minority problem with the Southwesterners. It's a minority problem, yes. But I want to say that there's this issue of, well, keep on looking at Southwesterners being marginalized. We'll forget the issue of meritocracy and hard work. Honestly. I want to say that Northwesterners, if you look at Northwest region, that's what they call Grassfield. It is not as rich. No, please. I want to learn by saying that if we concentrate a lot of the marginalization of the Southwest, then we'll forget about the issue of meritocracy. It is very important.
So you are confirming what Mr. Nganyamding said, that when it comes to meritocracy, Francophones had all the reasons to be more. Is that what you're saying? Can we not see
how can we solve this problem? We can solve this problem now through a strong regionalization.
Okay.
A strong regionalization can solve this problem where governors are elected. And I think that if governors are elected, and then in the Southwest, you say there is the University of Boya, for example, or Vice Chancellor comes from the University of Boya. University of Bamenda, Vice Chancellor comes from the Humanisha University. I think that it will solve the problem. You go to the governors.
I think we are there already.
Chancellors are. Yeah, I'm saying that. That's what we are saying. That is the open door for it. Yeah. And then looking at other spells, it look like CDC. The general manager of CDC should be a Southwesterner. Also, on Sonera is there.
That's what I'm saying. The thing is not limited to Northwest, Southwest.
But we should not also forget the issue of competency. No, if we are looking at regionalization, we should also look at competency.
No, I disagree with you. Are we saying that a prop and a survey of Southwesterners cannot even produce a petrol engineering? So what are the qualities that are so much needed in this kind of management?
From what I gather, when we start talking meritocracy, this and that, the essence of the program is to breed unity. Not divide. So can we see how what structure could be put in place to address this issue?
Let me break the structure. It is very easy for us to bring in this unity that we need. What is it required? We first of all need to look at our geographical orientation, and we need to look at the constitution with regards to this. We have two things in place. Now, when we talk about the issue of the Constitution, we need to take into cognizance the ability and the productivity of the Southwesterners and that of the Northwesterners to put them in place and look for the institutions that is going to manage these people. It doesn't mean that when you come over to work in the Southwest region, you should be sent off because you are from the Northwest region. But this is what I have to say. One of the biggest problems we are facing right now is to accept the fact that we are not going to divide because we want to have better things. We should think of coming together because we want to have better things. The problem with the Northwest and the Southwest divide is really not that much with, I will still put it, the common man. Mr. Leo, you said something that you were going to carry out a sample. Let me just give you a short survey. Now, go back to 2017. Go back to 2018. Listen to what those who are against the separatists from the Northwest and the Southwest are saying. I'm talking about real patriots. I'm not talking about bounty patriots. That's for sure. If you listen to what the real patriots are saying, then you understand that the real patriots are calling for these persons who have the same mindset, the same ideology like those of the Northwest region. That is why I said, in order for you to understand this very well, look at these areas which some people feel marginalized. Then look at the areas where some people do not talk about this aspect of marginalization. You will realize that the same attitude of that boy in Gokutunja is the same attitude of that guy who lives at the outskirts of Mafia town. Yes. So at the end of the day, the issue of marginalization, we cannot deny it. But when you talk about that we should bring in persons that should be there and push away others that they ought not to be there. That is basically not what we should encourage. Yes, and when we talk about meritocracy, yes, that's it. When we talk about meritocracy, we are not saying that we are not saying that there are not persons from the Southwest who are not capable. No, we are saying that if you want to select persons from the Southwest, don't go on the basis of people calling their voice being marginalized. Within the same Southwest region, there are particular divisions that feel more marginalized than other divisions.
But even in Bamenda, even in the Northwest region, this happens. But what we are saying now, even in the Northwest region,
I think that the issue here is how do we bring these people together? And to bring these people together, it is very simple. We should go back to look at constitutional amendments that could foster our living together, taking into cognizance our unity in diversity.
Yeah, I was saying something.
No, Meta Alex, I was looking for some time. Hello, Meta Alex, I'm sure you've been loving all through following discussions out there. You think it's a reality or a myth? You are the president of a political party. What structure would you put in place to foster our unity in diversity?
Well, I must say what these people are saying. I've watched what they are saying on the panel. It's very important that I make this clear. They are talking about positions. And somebody talk about me being theoretical. Let me tell you, I was born in Boya, okay? I don't know those Northwest, Southwest divide when I was growing up. A Bamiliki man, Paul Bamiliki, was mayor in Tico. A Bari man from Northwest region was mayor in Tico. And other people, Fayez in Kumba. So I speak based on my experience. Some people come from certain places, they can speak on their experience about the division. I'm talking about my experience. I did not grow up seeing those things. We have Hausa Kwata, Meta Kwata, so we grew up with diversity and it depends. So I don't buy a lot of things. I talk based on my experience. We have to consider how difficult it is to change ourselves before we change people. To me, it's not about position. We talk about meritocracy or what? Natural resources. We did not bring it on earth. So we keep on talking about natural resources come from this area. This man should be this. To me, for the best part, we know Dr. Ndeli was a prime minister. That was meritocracy. After that, I don't know. So we should be very careful when we talk about these things. It's not about position. I don't care if everybody who is a minister in Cameroon is from Northwest region. Insofar as they are competent, they are doing the job, that's what's important to me. The structure to me, what we want to put in place as the leader of British Cameroon National Party, we should not be treating Anglophones as if they are a political party. Anglophones are not a political party. One thing we should make clear also, we did not join La République du Cameroon as Northwest and Southwest. We did it. That division came from Ahidjo and Mr. Bia. We should take note. So we are not a geographical location. So Northwest and Southwest is everywhere all over the world. It's in America or whatsoever. When you want to draft a constitution, you look at the people. You look at their culture. And there are two cultures in Cameroon. What we inherited from France and Britain and our ethnicity. Those are the two things. People talk about 10-state federation. Mr. Bia created 3 more regions. We can also create 1 or 4 or 5 more regions in Northwest and Southwest. So it's not about region. I look at the problem in Cameroon in 2 folds. We must recognize that 2 countries came together. Country is defined in constitutional law as a territory, a population, and political authority. Northwest and Southwest was a country that have been annexed. And that's how I look at it. The institution have to be restored, Northwest and Southwest. I don't care whether it's federalism or whatsoever. We need our institution back. Then we have to look at decentralization in this way. We look at all the tribes and we give them autonomy. We have what we call customary law. We are practicing it today. We all have our customary law. We should not pretend. We do that and we love it. And that diversity is so good and sweet. Cameroon was created by 2 countries. So those institutions have to be in place. I don't care whether you call it federalism or what. I will not give a name. Because you can call something, they can change special statute and they call it federalism and there's no power there. So I don't want to give the name.
Matt, you talk about annexation. What are you saying? Your party is British Cameroon National Party. Is it not part of the Cameroon as we know it today? What annexation are you talking about?
The point is, to be
if you don't want annexation, are you saying that you want separation?
The point is, when separation comes, let me make this clear. It will be in a referendum. They will ask, do you want to stay with La République or do you want to leave La République? I will look and I will ask myself, why is it that they have ENAM, they have military tribunal, they have all those École Normale Supérieure they inherited from France? Do I want to live my life under those things? If the conditions are still the same, so I will vote that I want to leave.
So your context of what we are talking is different from what we are discussing out here, because I'm sure everybody.
Yeah. You asked me a question.
Yeah, because you brought the issue of annexation. I wanted to really understand, because we may be discussing from different points of view. Yes.
Mr. Leo,
Matt, please. This television is registered under the laws of Cameroon. There are laws that are guiding our functioning, and we cannot be functioning out of the laws of Cameroon until we get there, please. I wanted just to get it. If we are talking something else than what concerns Cameroon, please, I take exception. No, I take exception to that, because you are putting our existence of the TV at risk. I take exception to that, please.
I did not say that. You are not getting my point, Mr. Leo.
No, you are talking. No, please. He's talking politics. He's talking politics here, please.
Freedom of expression.
No.
The Constitution. I have a copy here. I'm expressing myself.
No. Matt, please. Matt, we need to survive. Please, for you to continue talking to Cameroonians, we need to be on air. If we are not on air, you will not talk to Cameroonians. So you are talking about the freedom of expression. I'm telling you about the laws that govern the way we are functioning. There is a Ministry of Communication in Cameroon that regulates what we do. We cannot go out of that.
I know the law.
No, Matt, you are talking politics, please. Yes.
I think unity in diversity. That is we are talking of unity in diversity, and then concerning the issue of Northwest, Southwest, we center on issue of marginalization. And I think that we can better, apart from meritocracy, people are talking, I think we should, if there's a position for Anglophones, let's put the Anglophones, if there's something they need 10 people, let's make it clear that 5 from West, from Southwest, 5 from Northwest. It should go with equality. It should go with equality.
That's why I wanted
to.
And
then let me land. And when we talk about the issue of meritocracy, in which there are people that they can look for experts everywhere. We can have it. We cannot be saying they are there. They are very resourceful. We're there. So what I'm saying is that if citizen 10 workers, 5 from Southwest, 5 from Northwest. If the CBC, we should do it. Let it work with equality.
It should work
with equality.
Yeah, but it should work on both sides of the coin.
Exactly. No, what we are saying is that, Leo, what I'm saying is that we cannot deny the fact that we are in a cosmopolitan setup, especially the Southwest region. The Southwest has continued to be a heterogeneous there with our brothers. We're living not only by our brothers from the Northwest and Southwest, but even those out of who are coming from the other end. But what we are trying to say is that in as much as the Southwest is hospitable, in as much as the Southwest is a brother to every other, especially to our Northwest brothers, we should at least also enjoy that place, that a privilege of whenever there is something, it should not be, we should be projected, that the Southwest minority should be projected. We are not saying that, I'm not here saying that the Northwest brothers should, no, they have the right to aspire to every position. But let's remember that we have our brothers who are a minority too. Because if we have to go voting or probably competence and everything or voting every day, at the end of the day, the Southwest now will never ascend to any position because we know numerically it cannot work. No. So that's why, in effect, when Alex was saying here that he doesn't care if all ministers in Cameroon or come from the Northwest. Right? I was wondering if he's truly talking politics now, because in every political thing you must strike a political balance in everything, in positions and everything. So you cannot say you don't care all the North because they are competent. No. So what do you do? What do you make of the other electorate? The electorate from the other angles, they must lose. There must be some problem. So at the end of the day, if we are rational in politicking, we'll realize that the results will also be will tickle in positively. I think, and I still believe that if we all put our heads on deck and we put it in such a way that we know at the end of the day that we are brothers, and what's the sharing that we share evenly. I don't think we'll get to this point where so there'll be some degree of disgruntlement as we have it now. So the problem is not just living together. The problem is sharing together.
Let me add something. I think that His Excellency President Paul Biya has done something that wise when he to top administrators of the country, especially the position of the Prime Minister and Head of Government. And if you look at the position of the Prime Minister, Head of Government, His Excellency President Paul Biya does it rotatorily. The former Prime Minister was from the Northwest, and the present Prime Minister is from the Southwest. But my own problem now is what is the impact of the Anglophones, especially as positions of certain key positions in the country is concerned too. We should look at that. Because if you talk about the position of the Prime Minister, how does the position of the Prime Minister create impact in the Northwest and Southwest? We should look at that. Yes. Recently, we see the problems that are emanating in the Northwest and Southwest, especially the Anglophone crisis and so on. I ask you, can the Prime Minister effectively solve this kind of problem? We also look at our regions. The Northwest and Southwest, presently, we have regional presidents. We should be honest. The regional presidents are coming from Northwest and Southwest. And what is their impact to their people? What is their impact to their people? So we think that we need a kind of revised constitution that meet the needs of these people. If it doesn't meet, then we are just marroring, because we are talking about Northwest, Southwest, divide and rule, which is there by top politicians, the bourgeois, those who are feeding fat. But we should look at those key positions that can help the common man. And the key positions are at the regions, not in the central government. And we are talking about revisions and Even in parliament, if we are not careful, the post of the vice president of the country can come up. And who will take the position? Is it a francophone that will be the vice president or an anglophone? So we have to be very careful. Our politicians in Yaoundé, they have to be very careful. Our parliamentarians who are anglophones, are they contributing to this too? Because we see that most of our politicians who are anglophone, they sideline mostly with political parties rather than their people, because they don't know what is happening. So we have a lot to educate ourselves.
I want us to be, we are talking about a myth and reality.
Yes.
We have the Northwest Funds. We have the Northwest Funds Association. We have the Southwest Chiefs Conference. We have Northwest
Development
Medino. We have Société. We have the National Youth Council for the Northwest, National Youth Council for the Southwest. At all the levels, is there at any point where there is some conflict? No, some unity where they come together. For example, that the Northwest Funds and Southwest Funds say we come together because we want to meet this particular.
Maybe before I pass this, I leave the mic to you. Maybe I should say here that it may interest you to know that whatsoever we're talking about takes its root. I mean, about the Southwest Northwest divide takes its root from government's actions. Okay, and so government is very reluctant to have a united front in that domain. That's the truth. That's the truth. So it has always been encouraged. If you look at the happenings in the past years, it will demonstrate, it drives home that message. Because whenever there is going to be, during multipartism here, when they realize that, because I want to parody what my brother said here, the SDF, before being referred to as a regional party, was embraced as an Anglophone party. Because we had brothers from sister, everybody. So when government saw this happening, it was panicking. And they had to kind of start, they brought up this idea of come no go, these things like that, those kind of things. Yeah. So it's a reality as a matter of fact. But in as much, I think I am saying that our elites and our brothers and sisters have abated the growth of this very cankerworm. I mean, they have helped government to spread it and to continue to, because if we really shun it by behaving and probably doing it maturely, because some of our, even our small institutions down there are doing it, we realize that it is in every nook and cranny of it. So if they help, we actually decided to pay deaf ears to these things and try to live as expected, we would not have had it today. So I want to start by saying that it's not the unity. The unity of these two brothers is not a good thing to the powers that be. And so it's always a matter of trying to separate them. So even those structures you're talking about, they are independent. They are structures that are government structures. If you talk of Medino, you talk of Sweden. So these are government structures. Who appoints the general managers of this place? There's the president of the republic, and the National Youth Council, we know it's a make-believe something that has some undertones, and so they are all teleguided structures by government. So when you look at them as a barometer or as something to measure the degree of togetherness or probably to measure how undivided we are, we may be losing sight of many things.
Okay. Yeah. I think it is very simple for us to handle things like this. I keep saying very simple, given that it's all about us. Who has what power? We should be able to give to the people what they deserve. Who should be electing who, and who should be doing what? It is a myth at the level of the common man and the reality for bounty patriots. Those who want to receive that bounty and forget about the people with claims that they are patriots, they will always accept that. Let this divide be there. And if you look at the common man, he doesn't have such a problem. Now, Barrister was saying a few minutes ago that when he was growing up in Boya and in Kumba, he knew nothing about who is doing what.
That's true.
He saw persons who came from the West region and they were blossoming and the communities were living in peace. Nobody had anything with anybody. Nobody had anything against anybody. But what is the problem? When the central government looks at these things and realizes that they are quick to foster togetherness that could easily bring the people, and whenever they have to stand up against what is wrong, they can easily get it. All they need to do is to divide the people so that they can easily rule them. The divide and rule of the Northwest and Southwest is not coming from these persons. This is coming from these same persons who are guiding these people. And it is coming from where? If we should look at the Constitution, there is a lot that we need to amend with our Constitution. If you want to eradicate these things, if you want to curb them, if you decide not to eradicate them, and you say you want to curb them, there is only one way through which you can handle this, through constitutional amendment. Let it be that the person from the Southwest, and when we talk about the person from the Southwest, for example, if we say we want to elect the regional assembly, where we have decided to use the universal suffrage, you should be able to allow persons to choose their leaders, not through the councillors where most people were not even able to elect. And so you realize that the developments which are taking place, there are businesses and industries, companies within these regions which they do not belong to the indigenes of these particular areas, but there are indigenes who are working in some of these places. So if we want to focus on whether these people should not be doing what these people are doing, I think it's not going to help us. The problem here is the politicians are dividing the people than the people themselves. The people on the ground are not willing to be divided. This is the reality. If you take away the politicians and allow things the way they have to be, I tell you the truth, you will not believe that there is somebody who is coming from Manfi when you see him in Bamenda. And vice versa.
I think, Leo, I think because some of these things, like, there are certain things that we need to must face it, and then we trash it. Because even now we're looking at condemning that the government of France, the government contributed to the destruction of the abolition of federal structure. I challenge us, if we as Anglophones sit today, not all Anglophones will agree that if they say that let's go back to two-state federation, not everybody will accept two-state federation. Honestly, not everybody will say that we are ready for two-state. We say those are the truth that we must look into.
Yeah, but is this not the reality? Because we claim that Anglophones did not contribute to this. If they were to say today that we go back to the two-state federation, are you sure that almost everybody will say we should go back?
Come again, Leo.
Yes.
I was
a
referendum will answer
that one can be done through a referendum, through elections.
Only a referendum.
You will know the minds of people.
Yeah, the truth is that Leo, I'm not refusing. We are saying we are bringing a different contributing factors. We agree that there's a Northwest Southwest division. We agree on that, and we're looking at the contributing factors. Some panelists say from the government, some say from the political class. But what I was saying that if they allow Anglophone, that people had an Anglophone conference and discuss a way forward to the Anglophone problem, maybe some Anglophones say, okay, let's go into box or whatever to agree on the form of state. Maybe two-state will everybody or among Anglophones, not everybody will agree to go into two-state federation. And that's why I say that. Why? Because we look at, I'm still going back to say that, see, history, you cannot deceive history. You cannot deceive history, Dr. Busie. Some people will say no to two-state federation, or because what we have experienced before. And that's why I say that
if these things are taken into, if some of them are taken into consideration and probably addressed, is it still possible for us? I think that's what Leo was asking. Is it still possible for us?
Unless they are taken into consideration, they are just taking serious into consideration, because people live based on history, what happened in the past. Yeah. That's the gospel truth. And truly speaking,
but that is also the reason why Cameroonians voted to join this side now, because of an experience they had.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that we are looking on this. We are not only looking today. If the older generation fail us, we are here today failing the older generation who are coming in. That is the gospel truth. Because this issue of what we're talking about is, I'm not refusing that there's a political class involved in this thing. I'm not refusing that a major place. But there's within the class. Because I'm saying looking at what happened in the 1960s, and it's coming up to today.
Right. No,
I remember when we were talking about the Federal Republic of Cameroon. When we were talking about Federal Republic of Cameroon, I made it clear that when I was talking about the political, when I was talking about the closure of the Federal Republic of Cameroon, I made it clear that we must sit as a people who are serious to handle our problem, not between Cameroon, but between North and South. I agree that.
Please. I don't want us to talk theory on this platform.
No, I want you to bring the
let us go practical.
Practical.
We have political actors in the field. You are a member of a civil society organization. You are the press man. I am a press person. But we have core politicians who are Anglophones.
That's right.
Why can they not agree on a particular path since the advent of the Anglophone crisis? Because for now we say, okay, they were manipulated in the past. Why can they not talk with one voice today?
Nobody wants to let go of his bounty.
The same situation, the same
That's
thing.
all. I think the answer is very simple.
Packages that they pay, I just want to call them the peanuts that drops from the high table.
Nobody wants to let go of its bounty.
That's exactly, you realize that's exactly what is happening. Yes. Now look at even the prime minister, the prime ministry. We're talking the prime minister's job, which we're saying is been given to this man. If you know the infight, if you know how many people are undercutting the same prime minister, to have Anglophones to that matter, to have him, if you know how many petitions are at the presidency against the same prime minister, it tells you. If you know Anglophone, so you see the Anglophone ministers, no one want to. They don't see each other. They don't. So for what purposes, you will understand therefore that it is difficult, it is quite difficult to say with exactitude and that we may obtain something that we may bring them under one thinking cap someday. It has to take the grace of God, because what obtains in between them or in their midst there is terrible.
Yes,
I mean the hatred is deep rooted.
The source of the hatred is not from their people. The common man is the one who pushes up that particular elite you are looking at. I am saying that if we should bring it into the constitution for the common man to decide who should be a leader, then all of this backbiting will not exist.
Yeah.
As easy as
I think that is obtainable only in heaven. Eh?
No, but it's easy. It's all about the constitutional change where we decide.
Even the bylaw is not as good.
I'm sure that is obtainable only in heaven. I'm sure even in your organization where you have created and have set rules, you are not respecting it to every letter.
We do respect
there are
it.
shortcomings
You get
everywhere.
it? Yeah, like as I'm saying, it's very easy.
But my question is, let us take away the bounty patriots that we are talking about, that they have pushed out there. We have politicians who are not bounty patriots.
Of course we do.
So how united are they out of the system?
I want to say that we have opposition leaders who are not in the system.
Yes. Anglophones.
And they are Anglophones. And the issue is egoism. The issue is interest. The issue is selfishness. And I think that if these Anglophones come together as one, look at what happened in the National Assembly where a coalition of opposition parties came together, and at the end, what happened to them? They don't trust themselves. Anglophones do not trust themselves. If an Anglophone say Foncha will be, let's rally behind Foncha, there are others Anglophones who will go behind to backbite. The first issue is that Anglophones have to come together, have a common interest, have a common vision. And if they don't have a common vision, then I don't think that it will be good for us. So Anglophones now, those who are not in government, those who are in opposition parties, they have different manifestos. And there's no day that they have come to meet a common man to really explain their manifesto to them. They really need to come together, look at the common goal. They talk about the electoral system and so on and so forth. How many of them have come together and look at how they can better the electoral system in Cameroon and so on? And I think that only Anglophone can change the dynamics. It is not the central government that will change. Anglophones are their own problems.
Yes.
The first issue in this country is that Anglophones are their own problems. Because the truth is that if you appoint this person, minister of this, you say, no, this person, they have appointed this person coming from here. No. I think that if we allow envy, jealousy, outside,
I was saying,
and then we look at what they call altruisms, we need to be selfless in this country. If Anglophones are selfless, then I think that would be better for
just I was saying, Mr. Lo, let me just, I earlier said that make a statement here that the foundation of Anglophone problem stand on Anglophone disunity. There's an Anglophone problem standing on the foundation of Anglophone disunity. Meaning that we must start from the foundation before going up. We are not refusing that there's no Anglophone problem. It's standing on Anglophone disunity. I know today, I earlier said that in 1961, we were not supposed to have plebiscite. Plebiscite because of what? Disagreement between NDLA and Foncha. It's continued, the trend continued to today. When at the peak of the Anglophone crisis, the late Cardinal, he said like what? Let's call for an Anglophone conference. Why would they respond? At the end of the day, was there an Anglophone conference? So
he was not even encouraged by the powers that be too.
That's what I'm saying. That I'm just looking at it, putting away the powers that be. We should look at this thing sometime. I don't like me other external factors. Honestly, we have seen situations where there's
how much support did he receive from the Anglophones? No,
yes.
How do we get a workable strategy for Anglophones in Cameroon?
We should begin somewhere. It's not going to fall from heaven. We should first of all understand and put our people first. Let me take the case of Rehabet. Now, it was but obvious that because of the people, we started Recover and Rehabilitate for Better Tomorrow to give them help. We did not put ourselves in that shoes. We thought of the people. Severally, I have been at gunpoint from the Ambas. And there was a time even the military had to invade where we were having meetings. But I told the members, I said, we are gathered here because we want to solve a problem. And what is this problem? The problem of those children who want to go to school and they don't have the means to go to school. This is how you solve a problem. You forget about yourself, you forget about your personal gains, and you think of the people. Because once you have the people at the center, there is no way you would go off empty-handed. So we are working closely to see that these people should be the ones first, not ourselves. In the same vein, these politicians, Mr. Leo, let me just say the truth. I think it's going to make some of these my bounty patriots to why not drop a certain percentage and work for the people. Every politician, to you, that electorate, every politician has a benefit or some benefit to reap off from what he is doing. I have no problem. If you are a political leader, it is obvious that through your politics, your politicking is going to transform a people. And your house is not going to go hungry because you want to work for the people. But you should not think of getting that 100% and removing that 2% for the people while you take that 80% or that 98%. This is where the problem lies. Some of these politicians feel that because they have a particular package more than what the people ought to be receiving, they are okay. So to make this thing workable, we should work for the people, we should build for the people, we should feel for the people, we should think for the people. Okay. Ask yourself, do they have electricity? Is there road? How do we bring road? Yes. So I think it's very easy.
Let me take some messages. Ma Bisson writing from Kumba says, Dr. Busie, keep it up. Dr. Esther Bisson writing. This one says, beautiful analysis. I hail the history teacher in the Northwest. The Southman is seen as dominant. In the Anglophone region, the Northwest is dominant. The way out is good governance, no matter the form. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu and the members of the panel. I'm so happy that Kumba is represented. Okay, Dr. Esther there. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please, can you allow the teacher to talk? That man is talking a lot of sense. Pa John writing from Kumba. Good evening. Please, Eneo has not changed its old habit. Please, how can one follow apart on the TV? Please, there should be rebroadcast early in the morning at 5 a.m. Missing out. Tafa Simon is writing from Buddha. This one, Daisy writing from Kumba says, stop calling, please. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. My history book is open. I'm learning a lot of sense, okay? We are out of time. We have to end here. Yes, briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. I want to add something, please. It's very, very important. And I think that we have to learn from persons who have integrity. Anglophones have to rely on persons who have integrity. Look at late Cardinal Tumi. when late Cardinal Toomey called for the All Anglophone Conference, there were some people who never wanted the conference to hold, and it was for the common good of Anglophone. Where's Christian Cardinal Toomey today? So I think that what will better Anglophones is integrity and truth, honesty, the love for people and not the love for self.
Okay, thank you for coming, and also thank you to you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. It is a pleasure. It is rather unfortunate that the Anglophones have decided to fight themselves. Please, let us come together and take off this senseless war in our regions and bring sanity as it is needed.
Okay, thank you too for coming, Mr. Lero. Larry, Esong.
Leo, thank you very much for hosting me again this time. And in fact, I mean, it's very important and intelligent panelist. I was really thrilled in this most especially here getting history done again to me. I think it was a wonderful pleasure. All I will say is that we as Anglophones should first of all address our differences before forming a bloc to probably counter whosoever is getting our problems aggrieved. So I believe in first of all cleaning your house before embarking. You say in some other palace they will say you don't go to equity with dirty hands.
Okay, thank you for coming, Gentle.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mr. Leo. I think Anglophones should put in mind that the problem can properly be solved if only there are no politicians. The day that Anglophones will sit together to solve their problem, no political party representatives will be present because they come with their political ideologies. Their political ideologies come first. CBM will send them away, SA will send them away, CMR will send them away. Because what they care first is their ideology, their political ideology, and not for the good or for the protection of Anglophones.
Okay, we want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program, and also to you, Eli and Desmond, who produced this edition of the program. Thank you to Barrister Ndive. Alexa, we are grateful for your input this evening, and not forgetting you, Tabit and the Brian, to supervise the work we do out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.